application under theme of plant biotechnology, as well as production and characterization of benzypenicillin by solid state fermentation using tramplet species. Also, he also attended and published in his research posters in various conferences and also involved in GenePank submissions. He is well known with various technical skills like chromatography technique, microbial technique, molecular biology technique, as well as he can also handle various instruments like FTIR, HPLC, HPTLC, and LCMS. He is a member on International Advisory Committee of International Conference and DST sponsored national level INSPIRE program organized by Pharmaceutical Sciences. So, with this brief introduction, I request Dr. Gaurav sir to present his lecture on fungi reservoir of metabolites and their application. Dr. Gaurav sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya, Dr. Sheetal, and all the members, admin staff of the university and college to invite me on in this webinar. And I really hope that it would be a nice interactive portion, which would be really interesting for all the participants, as well as those who are really interested to carry forward their future goals in research or else in application parts, right? So with this note, I would like to start my particular topic, and why I had choose this topic because it with recent situation, everybody is working on different type of applied part, but for application, we need to understand the basic part. So what we need to do is we need to integrate both the things, the basic and application part. Now, before we start actually our real scenario on cloning, let us first take a brief, what we call an initiation round for all the participants, right? Now, what I request all the participants is just to define biology. Any persons can unmute themselves and answer the question biology. What is biology? Simple. We are not talking about any other aspect. Simple biology. Can anybody unmute themselves and talk? With respect to local language will be also fine. With respect to English is also fine for me. So that it seems that everybody is awakened. It's 10:13, so at least I'm sure everybody is awakened. But let's discuss about biology right now. So any participant can unmute themselves and just define what is biology.
Biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of plants and animals.
Yes, Tejal, thank you. It's something which is dealing with plants and animals. Yes, anybody else?
Biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of living organism or plants and animals.
Okay, okay, Anita. Anita has added into the session that there is something what we call as a living things. In previous definition, it was plants and animals. Then it came something living associated with it. Yes. Anybody else want to add something? So there are 60 participants. Just biology. Okay. Now, why do you define just plants and animals as a part of biological system? There are many things to be included in the biological system, but why we include only plants and animals? Is it that the diversity is so huge? Now, if we compare the plant diversity to insect diversity is near about 50 times more than plants diversity. If we compare animal diversity also, then also animal diversity is less than insect diversity. So that's why what we are trying to assume it, that biology is just a field of something which is living, which is plant, which is animal. But overall, if we see, it is just a mixture of biomes, right? Everything which is having some type of life in it, we can call it and whenever we study it, we can call it as a part of biomes like biology. Now, this is a really new concept which is coming up. Everybody is talking about this biome part. Now, reason why everybody is talking about these biomes, not they are not included in plants, they are included in animals. Everybody is talking it. The only reason is because they found it that there is something which is more in the cells compared to a normal thing. Now, if we see a human body, right? Human body is something which is made up of muscles, bones, skin, everything. Major portion is covered with water. But when actually science reveals that overall, compared to your cells, compared to your water, the major part which is playing part is microbes, right? So that's where everybody is surprised that our body is made up of different elements, and how come it finds that microbes is so vast and is so diverse when we are comparing with our normal human things. Then actually everything started in the mind of biologists. We are not talking about microbiology, we are not talking about botanists, we are not talking about zoologists, but as a part of integral part of all these things as a biologist perspective. Then they start to think that why can't we replica whatever is there in the environment in our labs? So what we usually do in our particular scale, that whatever we observe in the environment, we find why this is happening in the environment, what is the perspective that it is growing in the environment. There should be something, right? And that's where actually the experimentation part in the biology starts. That we want to make exact what actually it is going in the environment to create similar environment in our lab. And whenever we do such similar things in our lab, we try to find that there is something which can be associated and correlated at some point of biological level. Now, scientists used to work with respect to many things, right? But whenever they are working on many aspects, they find out that there is something which need to be exact replica of what is exactly in the environment. And that's where the term which has been coined cloning came into an existence. Because what we want to do is we want to mimic what the environment has created in our life, and that particular mimicking or exactly making a replica of it, that we need to understand. And that's why I'm very interested in that particular portion, and that's why I'm discussing with you all that particular portion of what are the cloning and why this cloning is needs to be understood. Is it just an application part? Because everybody thinks cloning is so difficult, it is just an application part or it is an applied biology, but it is not like that. We need to understand that cloning is a part of or integral part of biology only. Yes, we understand from a taxonomic point of view, from a biologist point of view, and then only we can go for a particular what we term as a clone, right? That's why what we are going to discuss today, or what I am presenting, That I think it is and would be very, very interesting topic to understand, because it will cover even botany also, it will cover zoology also, it will cover microbiology also. Everything is mixed, matched, and one particular been covered, right? So moving on that particular aspect, let us first presemble.
Sir, your presentation has lost.
Yes, I think, sir, from there it has been presented. I had sent already my PPT. Yeah, thank you.
Please everyone pin to Dr. Vidya who is presenting so that everybody can see the presentation.
Yes, so currently with the presentation is not going on.
Yeah, I will just doing.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah, thank you, thank you. So moving to the our topic of concern, can you please change the slide here? Thank you. Yes. So why we are doing or what we are going to cover in this session is what is actually cloning. What we think, is it just a physical part, that whenever it goes to a physical part, if there is changes in physical type, we coin the term phenotypes, or else is it just a genetic change and we coined the term genotype, right? So physical means there should be change in the physiological aspect of some organism, that is called as a physical change. And if we go for a genetical change, there should be some in DNA levels, there should be some change, and that's why we call it as a genetical change. Is it just clone? Is it just physical or genetical? We'll go through that. Then clones. What are different types of clone? It is just and simple one aspect what we think, and what are the different techniques for that, right? So overall, the session would be covering major or focusing only on this particular aspect. The reason why, because if we understand this particular part, it would be easy to perform it practically, and to whenever we go for an practical aspect, our theoretical background would be clear so that we can design our own experiments and we can perform it, right? So moving to our next slide, is or clone, is it just physically identical or genetically identical? The biggest question is that. Now what we think is something which is there on the right hand side of my screen is, there are two monkeys over there. Two monkeys are somewhere in the room. We think, we suppose they are in the room, they are playing somewhere, and we think, if we observe carefully, both are very identical with respect to eyes, with respect to their particular movement of hands, with respect to grabbing of these particular balls. They are very, very identical. Now whenever we think that a clone it is, we always define there are two identical persons or two identical animals, two identical microbes, but we never correlate it with an scientific terms. Scientific terms means this is the physical changes we observe. This is the physical changes we are looking at, because after its development, we are looking on its hands, we are looking on its eyes. It's all about the physical morphological changes. But do we really know that it is not the only physical changes? It is basically we have changed some genetical system to make it and physically common, right? So what we have done is we have changed some of the genetic content in such a way that whenever they develop and they looks like very, very identical. Otherwise, they are not identical. So what we need to understand is, whenever we are seeing any clones, because normal tendency when we search Google and when we observe even Hollywood movies, we see always there are two particular persons who are exactly replica of each other, having same particular face, having same particular mode of action. Everything is same, and that's what we define it as clones. But the basic of clones is we are actually changing the genetic makeup, we are altering the genetic makeup, and that's where we are trying to make it both very, very similar. Now, what is all about genetic makeup? What actually is genetic makeup, right? So if we go through next slide, how and what is there inside the cell? First of all, we need to understand that. Because if we don't understand the basic what is inside the cell, we cannot change what is there in the cell. We want to change the cell, but what to change in the cell, we never know that. So first of all, we need to define that what is there inside the cell and what need to be changed. Right? It is just a nucleus we are talking about. Nucleus has many, many things inside it. So it's not only just the nucleus, there is many, many aspects of the nucleus which need to be think of. Now, if we go again inside the nucleus, then it is just only a small portion of nucleus what we are talking about. No, it is not only the small portion of nucleus. It is the tiniest portion of the nucleus what we are going to talk about. What is tiniest portion? The most important portion is chromosomes. Now, only the chromosomes are important? No. Again, chromosomes are there. We can karyotype it. We can just observe it. But what lies inside the chromosome is the most important part. There lies an centromere, there lies an telomere. From this telomere, there are formation of sister chromatids, and these chromatids actually forms an nucleosomes, and the important part of these nucleosomes would be histone proteins. Now we hardly actually know that what is the importance of histone proteins are there. Okay. Now for simple example, what I used to tell everyone is, at home there is a rubber band. Okay, what we usually do is with a rubber band, whenever we are free, we usually flick it our fingers. Now, how many times we flick it our fingers? It depends on what type and what size of rubber band I had taken it. I can fix it in on my first two hands fingers. I can fix it after the twisting it. I can again fix it in my last two fingers. Or else what I do is I just change or twist it till I get enough combination that my all the fingers are fixed. You experiment at your home, because this is a simple trick to understand what the histone proteins are. Now the same thing is, if I want to protect my fingers, what I usually do is, depending on the size of my rubber band, I just twist the rubber band on my two fingers. Then also rubber band is there which is much more lengthier. I again twist it in on my last two fingers. So what will happen? I had now fixed that I had protected my first two fingers, I had protected my last two fingers, and that's what actually the histone proteins are doing. Histones are actually something which is unbounding the most important thing of our life, or what we call as an heredity material, DNA. And now our aim is not only chromosome, not centromere, but our aim is to move up to DNA level. The reason why, because we are unwinding the histone proteins, for unwinding the histone proteins, what we get is double-stranded nucleic acid, what we call as a DNA, dinucleotide ribonucleic acid. This is where the whole phenomena or the whole world lies with respect to cloning, with respect to change in the pattern of physical appearance also. Everybody understands the genetic material is there. Everybody is talking about the genetic material. Even with this pandemic situation, everybody understands what DNA is. what RNA is, but none of the group of people or group of persons really understand that is it where actually DNA lies and how to unwind the DNA. It is not easily that I talk about the DNA and see suddenly DNA will come out of the cell. I need to understand that before taking out actual DNA or understanding actually DNA, I need to pass through all these phases. I need to clear all the proteins. I need to clear all the particular compounds which are giving hindrance, and then I can finally find where the DNA is there, and then I should assure that there is enough quantity of DNA which is there for my particular experimentation, right? So first of all, what we have defined is what is there inside the cell. Now next what we are going to define is why we are doing all these things, why we are aiming to change our DNA. Is it just because there is something we found really fantastic? There is a sugar phosphate backbone, there is adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, and this is something a nice ladder. I think of something renovating my particular ladder. That's why I cut it and then change it. Is it so? It is not like that. It is something because there is a continuous process which needs to be upgraded with respect to cloning part. Now, whenever we think of the cloning part, we need to go for its basic understanding of the cloning. We should go for basic of how actually the cloning has been developed. Is it so simple that it has been developed with respect to just change of the sugar phosphate backbone? It is just a nucleotide change or something like that. It has came on gradually, it has developed through many years. So what it has been there from, just see the timeline of development or history of that, it is from 1996 or from 1966, it took near about 1973 to develop whole process. Now process, again, what we talked about, it is not a simple process where we just take or extract DNA, right? First of all, we need to understand what is DNA. Although it looks like very easy that it is just adenine, thymine, and guanine, cytosine combination, but it is not like that. We need to understand that there are 20 amino acids which are present and which are forming one particular group. Now, why we are understanding all these 20 amino acids? Is it essential amino acid? It is non-essential amino acids? Or it is really a combination or which makes us a nice particular group of proteins? The reason why, because each 20 amino acids are there, or 20 amino acid has been given the priority because the combination of these 20 amino acids can lead to a generation of many proteins. And we hardly actually practically even now today know that how many proteins has been developed. Okay, through this all this combination, how many or how much proteins has been developed. And that's where first cracking the genetic code, if we see way back in 1966, it was the scientist Kurana Nirenberg Mathai Oka who has identified how to crack this genetic code. Because by cracking this genetic code only, we can go for an isolation of gene and we can go or target up to genetic level. Okay. So from this particular cracking the genetic code from 1966, it takes near about 3 years where the first gene was isolated, right? Now, in our previous slide, we have understood because there are clear-cut basic understanding is what is DNA, what is gene, what is genetic codon. So now what we are talking or what we are switching to is we are switching to an important part or isolation of first particular gene, right? From 1969, it take near about 1972 to go for a recombinant DNA molecule where one gene is not involved. There are 2 or 3 genes which are mixed and matched, and further it has led to a particular recombinant molecule. Further in 1973, because now recombinant DNA molecules has been found out, recombinant organisms were first created in 1973, and you can see currently we are in 2020, then also we hardly go for a real understanding of what the recombinant DNA technology is. But the good thing what happened was in 1977, even though we have created recombinant DNA organisms in 1973, in later on in 1977, it takes near about the whole sequencing of the DNA, whatever we are mixing and matching and we are producing through recombinant DNA technology. But this is how actually the genetic changes has been came up in subsequent years. But why all these things is happening? That we need to understand is it a beneficial thing or it is a deteriorating thing? Because science are in both the ways. Science is there in particular helpful and it is also in deteriorating form. So in our next particular slide, we will come across how the beneficial things happen in cloning, right? So can we change the slide, please? Yes. Right. So what this is where actually in first experiments or what we call as successful experiments were done with respect to change in the physical appearance of any type of organisms. Whenever you are changing the genetic level or wherever you are changing the initial particular DNA level, right? So if we think about it, in 1952, first cloning experiments with frogs were failed. So way back in 1952, they start thinking that yes, we need to clone something and make something change in the frogs, but it failed. In 1970, the first frog embryo was developed, but unfortunately it died. Then in 1984, lamb and sheep embryo were started to clone, but again it does not work, it again failed. Finally, in 1997, the sheep, what we call as a dolly sheep, it was renowned for cloning, has came into a picture where actually the mammal cells were being cloned and genetically it has some of the human gene contained also. So it few of the particular characters or genes were transferred from human and it was successfully implemented and cloned in sheep also. In 2000, pigs were the first clone part pigs has been done for transplantation of human organs. Because nowadays what we think an organ transplantation is common thing, but before it goes to a human to human organ transplantation, it needs to be passed through in different animals so that they can see that what are the rejection rates of that. So the first in 2000, the organ human or human organ transplantation were done. And you can see in 2004, actually, the first most important discovery came into existence, stem cell clonings, and first human embryo were cloned. And nowadays, everybody is working and talking about stem cells regeneration. Now, what is stem cell regeneration? It is nothing but as a part of cloning because of the properties of regenerating or regeneration of cells. It can regenerate itself, and that's why it is developing so fast, right? So this is what we need to understand, that the basics are there and how to define that basics. Now we have gone through an history why we are doing this. Is it just physical? Is it just genetical? Now we need to understand how to bifurcate cloning, because bifurcation requires many things. Are we doing just for fun, or else are we doing for some therapeutic purpose? Are we aiming some of the particular changes in few animals at DNA level, at microorganisms? What, how, and what we are doing? So that's why I had keep it very simple, that mainly we can bifurcate cloning in three parts. Majorly, it can be bifurcated in 6 to 7 parts, but overall, if we see it, majorly we can go for in three parts, what we call the term. One is an recombinant DNA technology that everybody is understanding and everybody is talking. Everybody wants to change the DNA in microbes, in plants, in animals. One is at reproductive cloning, at embryo stage. One is therapeutic cloning. If I want to go for a seed level change, then why I am doing that? I want to increase the production of one particular crop. Then we call it as a therapeutic cloning. So there are three major types, right? And then as soon as the first example, what I would like to suggest is
Gauru, people are joining.
this. Yes.
So if I'm presenting, I cannot admit them. That is why. Just
Okay, okay. Yeah,
you
fine,
can
fine.
continue. I'll just present.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So what is happening is that whenever we are talking about all these three technologies, okay, the most important thing to understand is for what purpose we are doing all this technology or why we are implementing it. Because if I'm talking about therapeutic, is it just increasing the scale of one particular thing? If I'm talking about the reproductive thing, then is it just an reproductive thing? Just I want to change the embryo level, I want to change some particular aspect or not? And if I'm talking about the recombinant DNA technology, how does DNA can alter at subsequent levels? Okay, how does alteration happens at many levels? So if we think about it, we need to understand there are specific types whenever we are talking about, right? Now, as soon as, can you just move to next slide, please? Thank you. For example, if I want to go for an cloning for improvement of my plant production, then I will not go for something just an extraction of DNA, and I will go for an something which is tedious for me. Instead of that, I will go for a particular therapeutic cloning where I can clone or generate many plants from single cells. Why should I go for something, an extraction of DNA, insertion of my particular character? After insertion, I will go for an expression. There are simple methods available. What I need to do is simply I need to take the tissues and what I need to homogenate into a single cells. Now what I will do is, because there are many particular single cells, I will transfer it into a different growth medium. Considering this as a single cell, what I had done is I had put this single cell in one particular individual medium. Now as soon as I put it into a growth medium, because there is an favorable conditions, temperature, physical agents which are there, which are all in favor of the growth, these single cells will divide. Now it will divide and into form an unclustered or ununiform clusters, what we call as in callus. Now within this growth medium only, this callus will lead to a generation of the two different things, roots and shoots, right? So as soon as there is a root and shoot formation is there, it will lead to a further formation of an individual plants. So this is what we call as a cloning also, but this is cloning from a single cell, from single to how to generate many cells. This is the most simplest type. The only thing what is most prerequisite over here is we need to understand, we need to define exact growth medium, exact physical conditions, exact environmental conditions. And if we are able to keep all these things in one particular portion, then it would be easy for us to move ahead and propagate and generate new particular plants, right? So this is the first technique, what we call as in cloning from a single cell. Now we move to a second particular technique where there is an eukaryotes. There are many things which are there. right? So what we have think as for eukaryotes, it not be easy to just clone into a single cell. From single cells, we need to give a growth medium, and from growth medium, it will transfer. It won't be feasible. So how to go ahead with that? For that, animals were tried to clone for more than 20 years. And what the major techniques was include, there are two techniques which is either we go for a splitting of embryo, or else we go for a nuclear transfer, that we take out the nucleus, and we know that nucleus contains everything. It contains chromosome, it contains histone, it contains DNA. Directly transfer that nucleus, because if we provide enough conditions to nucleus will automatically regenerate. From regenerate, it will move ahead and it will grow. Now if we go for a further embryo splitting, okay, so how do we define that particular technique? Just can we move with the other slide, please? Yes. Yes. So whenever we talk about the cloning by embryo splitting, what we think is there is an undivided mass of cells which are there in embryo, right? So what we do is, because we know that it can reproduce itself, it has something which is an undivided mass of cells, there is a particular protections with respect to that. So what will happen, this embryo will split into an two half embryos will be there. So we literally split it into two half embryos. Over here you can see clearly that one particular insertion needle has been kept, and from that there is a cutting of this embryo this there, where it has been split into two, right? Now these particular embryos were further splitted embryos were transferred into a particular mother, so that the womb can particular flourish. And once the womb can flourish, how the development of the embryo can be monitored. And how it is monitored? After it has been transferred to a particular mother, through ultrasonication, pregnancy is monitored, and there it has been shown that okay, embryo can generate and can later on form the particular individuals. And that's how the first experiments with embryo splitting or cloning has been done, right? Very, very simple technique, but most effective technique. How it has been done? One of the technique the most useful nowadays is IVF. That embryo is been grown into 8 to 16 cells. Once it has grown to that particular level, now it is been separated, and once it has been separated, it is goes into a separate embryos. That embryos has been transferred to a surrogate mothers, and further it has cloned into a particular different particular mothers, right? Now we move ahead with a nuclear transfer. What we have done is we have split the embryo, and then we have transferred into a particular mother, so that it can create and give favorable conditions for embryo development. But every time it will not work. The reason why? Because every time the embryo would not be so big, and every time we cannot mimic the conditions for an embryo transfer. So we need to understand that there should be an alternative of the embryo technology, or embryo splitting should be there. And what can be the alternative splitting would be that it is called as a nuclear transfer. Okay, now in nuclear transfer, what we usually do is we take out cells from our particular animals, we take out egg cell from the donor, nucleus has been removed, so that the cells which are actually being generated or regenerated can be taken in one particular container. Same thing, the nucleus has been removed from the donor also. And now what we do is we try to fuse that cells. Now, if everything goes well during the fusion, okay, then what will happen? Automatically the embryo will develop, and that embryo will be implanted into a surrogate mother, and further it leads to a development of exactly what the tissue donor is, exactly the replica of that particular tissue donor has been created over there. But the major disadvantage of the nuclear transfer would be during this particular process, because it involves culturing, taking out the few important cells, it leads to a contamination during the experiment, and these experiments is something which are tedious to do, and the chances of success would be comparatively less than what we go for in recombinant DNA technology, because these all are really worthy techniques. It is not like that this is not useful. These are all successful techniques. But then also, these successful techniques was not so far been developed or compared with an recombinant DNA technology. Okay. So with this, we move to another aspect of how do we go for an nuclear transfer, and these are the real pictures how a nuclear transfer has been happening. You can see that there is a particular embryo or nucleus has been there, and from this it has been inserted into a particular empty nucleus. You can see the cells are actually inserted, and once the cells are there within this particular embryo, then it has been taken, and this is and what the fluorescence looks like. That exactly on the left hand side corner, last particular picture shows that there is small portion which has been very highlighted. That is actually the cells moving inside, and it can further germinate and lead to an development of offspring, which is a replica of the donor, right? Okay, moving to the next slide. Nuclear transfer, this is all about what is the history and why the in 1997 Dolly ship was the first mammalian clone which has been successfully implemented. Now, problem is that everybody understands that there was a Dolly ship because it has been usually marketed. Every book contains that Dolly ship, but nobody understands when the extension of Dolly ship has been came out. Okay, because everybody has written that yes, first successful transfer was there. So in first particular transfer, it was there. Even the second edition of the ship has came. Nobody knows that. Then it has came to in pigs. Nobody understand it. Even in cows, it has been tried, but it was not at all successful with respect to generation or transfer of generation. That first generation was successful, yes. After cloning, the first generation came, that is all good. Second generation came, that was successful, but after next generation, it should be natural because we have already transferred it, should contain hereditary characters, but nobody understands it. And then it was an unsuccessful experiment with respect to cloning of animals, and nobody knows that how the extinction of these cloned animals happened, right? Further, if these animals were not found well, what it has been done that let us try with mice, because mice are something, if it goes, it can regenerate very fast. It takes near about 21 or 20 odd days only to give and born to a new generation. So we can at least for 1 year we can go for a subsequent 10 generation or 12 generations. So what it has been done is they have tried even with the mice also. For mice, it was happening very well, but again, after 12 generation, they were not able to transfer for 20th generation. So the problem was really coming whenever there is a question of transfer of generations, right? And that's how it is not possible to just move ahead with that. Yes, next slide, please. So what was the problems, real problems, why it has gone to an extinction? First is they don't live as long as a normal wild type, what we call as an. Even after few generations, there were not exactly the carbon copies. The biochemical or physiological changes was much more observed compared to the first particular donor, first recipient. Their immune systems were very weak. Success ratio with respect to transfer was just 0.1 to 3%. And reprogramming and de-differentiation means after that, once the few generation and came, and if we again go for a nuclear transfer, the success ratio was decreasing compared to what we have done with respect to first generation. So major problems associated with nuclear transfer, embryo splitting, was so much. And that's why they have developed another technique, then what we call as in gene cloning. The main aim is to get just enough copies of gene to manipulate, nothing else. And how we go for is we take out one particular gene, we have one particular vector, and that's how we create it. We insert in one particular host, multiply it, and we found that there are many, many copies of DNA is there. But how to get an insertion in DNA? डीएनए ऐसा तो नहीं है कि भाई पूरा हमने वैसे ही यहाँ पे कहीं पे रख दिया और सीधा हमने कुछ भी उसमें अंदर रख सकते हैं. फर्स्ट वी नीड टू कट डाउन दैट डीएनए. हमें कहीं ना कहीं उसको कोई ना कोई तरीके से हमें उसको कट करना है, फिर हम कुछ उसमें इंसर्ट कर सकते हैं. So that's why what it has been happening, there is gene, we know that there is DNA, it is going to there, but how to cut that DNA so that we can insert the new thing, that is the most important thing. And for that, most important discovery which has been given Nobel Prize was restriction enzymes. Okay, so if you see in next slide that there are three important scientists who has created the fantastic world of enzymes, what we call as in restriction enzymes. Without that, even if we think that DNA technology vision which might have developed was not possible. So what these three Nobel Prize winners are: Dan Nathans, Werner Arber, and Hamilton Smith. They had actually investigated one particular enzyme which is called as an endonuclease, and they particular enzyme endonuclease used to cut DNA at specific particular junction, and then we can insert whatever we think or whatever our desire is. And to our knowledge, near about 100 known type of restriction endonucleases were isolated within one laboratory which is called as in Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in US. Within one particular laboratory, they were able to successfully isolated and implemented in early 80s, mind well in 1980s, they were further able to isolate 100 known type of type 2 restriction endonucleases, and that's where the foundation or what we call as in building foundation stone for recombinant DNA technology has been taken place, right? Moving to the next slide, what all we are doing in recombinant DNA technology, first we need to understand it. This is simple DNA. What we need to do is we need to cut, and for that cut what we require is normally we require scissors. What are scissors? Scissors are nothing but what we have coined the term restriction enzymes. Now once we cut it, what will happen? There are many fragments of there. Now what we do is we similarly we cut what we want to insert. Suppose I want to insert this particular specific blue fragment in my purple fragment. I need to cut my blue fragment also. So in my third step, I will cut the blue fragment. And what now I will do is I will integrate the purple fragment and blue fragment. And what the final step would be, I need something Fevikwik to just fix it. And what would be the Fevikwik? The Fevikwik would be nothing but the ligase enzyme. Ligase means something which can be joined and led to a further point, right? And finally, in next slide, how do we do it? This is what a classic example of a simple plasmid looks like. You can see there is a PBr322. This is a classic plasmid, and it contains many particular restriction enzymes. Now these restriction enzymes where we can cut it and insert something, and that's why insertion is there. We can regenerate the whole particular whatever we want to generate into it, right? Next slide. And finally, how much insertion is there? Means how much capacity we can insert in kilo base pair, like KB, right? So if we work with an plasmid, we can insert up to 15 KB. There are bacteriophages, we can insert up to 90 KB. Backs, 500. X is artificial chromosome, 2000 kilo base pair of external DNA, whatever our fragment or desired fragment, we can insert it and we can go for a successful implementation. right? And this is all about what I had talked about. And this all are the techniques. What is the most important, right? Can we move to the next slide? Now, how to identify that particular gene? The only technique which is there is you need to go for an agar-Rho gel electrophoresis, what we call as an DNA isolation or DNA identification box, what we call as an electrophoresis technique. Now, in that you can see whichever there is an orange color particular fragment is nothing but DNA. This is also DNA, but it has been contaminated. This is also we can call as an RNA. This is actually the ladder exactly where we can correlate it. Fine. And the last slide would be the next slide, that how do you observe it? You need to go for an UV illumination. You can see there are on the upper end, there are fragments which is very, very visible. And now the particular scientist is measuring the particular distance using scale, simple, right? They are measuring the using scale, that is it the pure with respect to ladder and what particular purpose this ladder is there, right? So I hope, next slide, please. And finally, with this, we come to an conclusion of my talk, that is it really advantageous or is it disadvantageous? So we enlist it. Is it, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Advantages would be, we are very now clear with the genetic content. We can make different type of genetic change. We can make sure that if we clone it, we ensure it that there is enough content in it, and we can find another good clone or good animal compared to what normally exists. But on the contrary, there are few disadvantages of that also. So the disadvantage would be mainly that this technology is really, really expensive, because if we go for an cloning instead of normal hybridization breeding technology which is available, it is really, really expensive technique. And we don't know the clone would be normal or not, how many times clone will survive, and it is really, is it dangerous to human beings or not, that also we are unable to find out. Even nowadays human cloning everybody is talking about. Let's see, is it really possible? At least human genome has been particularly fragmented. It has been very well studied now. But with respect to cloning, it is still unquestionable with respect to ethics also, with respect to and practical purpose also, right? So with this, I would like to open the session for discussion. If anybody wants to discuss anything, I would be happy to answer, right?
Good morning. Is there? You have not talked about any cloning in plants. You have only speaking on animals. What about the cloning in plants?
Yes, Dr. Ahmed. With respect to plants, either we can go for an just and simple seed, particular what we have termed in first particular slide, or else we can go for, and nowadays in plants the major product is Arabidopsis. If you just go through in literature, major changes or major plant which has been highly studied is Arabidopsis plant. Now they are all working on recombinant DNA technology, that through this particular recombinant DNA technology, using vectors, they are trying to change for particular color pigmentation of the plants. Even the growth rate of the plant has been successfully changed. So majorly what the recombinant DNA technology using vectors has been successful with respect to plants. As such, if this recombinant DNA technology won't be there, then I think the conventional hybridization or breeding would be the much more successful. But this is also something which is debatable among the scientists, that is it conventional hybridization or breeding is more useful when we go for an improvement in plant variety, or is it the recombinant DNA technology, right? So both ways they are possible, but majority of scientists are working now with respect to recombinant DNA technology.
Thank you. But as just now you have revealed that animals will become expensive, or the process will become expensive. Will
Yes.
the process become equally expensive in case of plants also?
Yes, definitely it would be expensive, but whenever we are thinking of the plants, we see the age and how much production from plants we can get. And that's where we, if we just go for an useful variety of one or two useful variety has been developed, then it can be implemented on large scale. For example, BT cotton, simple. Everybody is now, or most of the farmers are now working with the BT cotton. So that's why the plants, if it is applicable, it is expensive, but once the technology is on the large scale, for plants it would be easily viable. For animals, because the age of the animals is comparatively more and it takes near about more time for coming from a cocoon stage to a mature stage, it will take much more experimentation and expenses with respect to that part. That's where we think that, okay, for plants, is it feasible only when it is commercially applicable?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
There is one question in the chat box.
Yes, yes.
Um, how beneficial are clone organism in terms of yield?
Yes, Shid- Shidram. Shidram, with respect to yield, it depends on what type of compounds or what type of target you want to, right? Suppose with respect to antibiotic, with respect to microorganism, it has been usually very, very fruitful. But whenever it comes to a particular secondary metabolites from plants, it takes much more time. So with respect to microbes, with respect to yield, if we are targeting molecules are very well established in microbes, then it would be easy,
Uh-huh.
right?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel for cloning in plants, plant tissue culture techniques are very well studied, right? The main
Yes.
problem of cloning generally happens in case of animals or now because of the points of ethical issues. Human cloning is, I don't know, it is very well studied or not. But yes, animal cloning is the big issue, right?
Yes. 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 Even plant tissue culture is successful whenever you are talking with respect to few commercial important varieties, because that it all depends on what media constituent we are working. And for recombinant DNA, we are talking with respect to specific gene fragments which we want to insert.
One of thing that I came into my mind while you're presenting your slides regarding Dolly, I feel telomerase is the enzyme which is played a very important role because when they have isolated cells from the mature mother cell, right? So that
Yes. Yes.
time
Yes.
this enzyme plays a really important role. If
Yes.
that cells are replaced with the stem cells, then this issue didn't come. This is what I read somewhere.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay. But
so
major issues with the telomerase is that if we replace with the stem cell, actually in mitosis, whenever there is a differentiation is going on through centromere, these are the only cells which actually protect the chromatids formation. Now, if we just change with respect to any things in telomerase, it will change the whole mitosis process, might be with respect to centromere bifurcation from the center to the poles. And that's why they are finding it difficult to replace this telomerase enzyme. Because stem cells, what will do, they are undifferentiated something. Whenever they are getting some enough conditions, then they will start differentiating. And that's why the replacement for telomerase, they are finding out. But still, it is like, I think it is going on. Yeah.
yeah, the research is going on definitely. That's what they try to take the cells from the stems, of the stem cells, or we can
Yes.
say from the placenta, so that that problem they won't face.
Yes.
Regarding the telomerase.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
as soon as cell division happens, the enzyme, the fragments are getting cutting down, and that is what the reason later on the I feel the whatever they have cloned, that animal can't survive for a long period of time and they didn't have that immunity. Because
Yes,
again, it is related to anti-aging, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
True.
that is one of the reason, I guess. Any more questions? If participants have, Jagtap sir.
Yes, madam.
Um, shall we move further?
Yes, madam. Yes.
So, thank you very much, sir, for giving a good, very elaborative and nice talk on the cloning technique with respect to gene, of course, and it is related to cloning of all living beings. So very wonderful and nice presentation you have presented. Um, with this, I would like to hand over to Kalapure Madam for valedictory function of this national webinar.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So we are here for valedictory function. Science is always a treasure, difficult to measure. Science came from God as a boon. It's a magic is carrying the man to moon. Science is a mystery, full of biological and chemical history. Sound solved ultimately by various keys. It's a symbol of silence, factor of brilliance. Science is the challenge of excellence. Science of universal ecology narrated by biology, where plants and animals has their separate morphology. So with this a beautiful quote by Rajesh Sharma, I, Dr. Sheetal Kalapure from Department of Botany is here with you all for valedictory function. It's an honor itself to honor this beautiful audience who accepted our invitation for National Webinar Series organized by Department of Botany, Wagire College, Saswad. Our Honorable Principal, Dr. Sushma Bhosle ma'am, our today's speaker, Dr. Gaurav sir, Vice Principal, Dr. Dorge sir, Head Chemistry Department, Dr. B.U. Mane sir, Head Zoology Department, as well as my all colleagues from Wagire College, as well Dr. H.S. Patil sir, Head of Department from Vidya Pratishthan, Dr. Ahmad Abdul Halil Khan sir from Telangana University, Dr. Abhijit Limay from Wadia College, Principal Siddharam Koli from Indian Model School and Junior College are here with us from first day of webinar series. Thank you so much being with us. Now, I would like to hand over this session to Dr. Swapnil Jagtap sir and request him to welcome our all participants who are joined with us. Dr. Swapnil Jagtap sir. Hello, Swapnil sir. Hello. Hello, Swapnil sir.
Ma'am, he will join. Give me-
Okay. So,
he had some network issue, but he is joining soon. Just be online.
So can we move further?
No, wait, ma'am, he is joining.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So sorry for the disturbance. So just wait for 5 minutes. Sir is joining with us. Really sorry. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Sir has some internet connectivity problem, so he will join with us as soon as. So I would like to request Dr. Vidya Patankar ma'am, Deputy Coordinator, to give her reviews on this webinar series. Dr. Vidya Patankar ma'am.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, madam. So we have gathered here for this national webinar series on recent trends in plant sciences. We have started our journey from Dr. Milind Sardesai's Sir talk on plant and animal interaction, where he has focused on various aspects of interactions among the plants and animals, insects, and this importance of this interaction for beneficial of the plants, that he has given the sites on it or views on it. On second day we have experienced beautiful journey of phytochemistry, its basics and its applications by Professor Dr. Daniel Sir. He emphasized on beautiful word of phytochemicals and its application in medicine, how plants are useful, and how you can take their advantage in your day-to-day life. On third day, we listened to Dr. Varsha Sriram Madam. She threw her lights on basics of plant tissue culture and world of secondary metabolites. How you can enhance, you can induce the production of secondary metabolites, which has immense importance in medicine as well. On fourth day, Dr. H.P. Desai sir covered a beautiful and amazing world of fungi, where he talked about fungal reservoir of secondary metabolites. Here, he talked on secondary metabolites from the fungal origin and its application in various industries, be it it's a clothing industry, paper industry, and a lot of important in the fermentation and enzyme industry as well. So on the fifth day, that is the last day of our lecture where Dr. Sangvi sir has expressed his thoughts on cloning techniques, its history, and how genetic cloning is important of all. What are the types of clonings that he covered very well and given a very good knowledge about the cloning technologies, which is a very, I can say, being a point of biologist is a common subject where all the students of various streams can take advantage of it. So this is the way we have finished our inspiring journey of knowledge, where I will leave this journey and the finish part of here with this beautiful quote. Knowledge is a skyscraper. You can take shortcuts with a fragile foundation of memorization or build slowly up on a steel frame of understanding. So we need to understand things rather than memorizing it and use it in your life. Thank you very much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Dr. Swapnil Jagtap is here now with us. So I request sir to welcome our today's delegates and our speaker, Dr. Swapnil Jagtap, sir. Sir, please unmute.
Good morning
Yes,
to
thank
everyone.
you.
Welcome to the last part of this online national webinar series on recent trends in plant sciences, which is organized by the Department of Botany under DBT Star College scheme. First of all, I welcome all the office bearers of the Pune District Education Association for their constant support. I also welcome our principal, Honorable Principal Dr. Sushma Bhosle Madam, Chairperson of this validatory function. I also welcome all the resource person, Honorable Professor Dr. Milind Sardesai Sir, Honorable Professor Dr. M. Daniel Sir, Honorable Dr. Gaurav Sangli Sir, Dr. Varsha Shriram Madam, Dr. H.B. Sonone Sir. I also welcome Vice Principal of our college, Honorable Professor Sunil Dolge Sir. I also welcome Dr. Vidya Patankar Madam, Coordinator of this webinar and the DBT Star College scheme of our college. I also welcome all the head of the science faculty departments, physics department, zoology department, microbiology departments, mathematics department, and chemistry departments. I also welcome the all the dignitaries which have joined these webinars as a participants. Dr. H.S. Patil Sir, ex-chairman BOS of Botany, Dr. C.P. Hase Madam, Head Department of Botany, BG College, Sangli, Dr. Rani Bhagat Madam, Dr. Nivedita Ghaya Madam, Dr. Abhijit Lemay Sir, Dr. Kodi Sir, and all the dignitaries. I also welcome all the faculties of the science faculties of our college and all my colleagues, Dr. Vidya Patankar Madam, Dr. Sheetal Kalapure Madam, and Mr. Nikhil Gurov Sir for this validatory function. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request all our respected participants from various institutes and my beloved students to give their feedback regarding our national webinar series. Yeah, any participants and students can talk.
I request all the dignitaries, all the dignitary participants for this webinar to please express their views for this webinar. Request Dr. H.S. Patil Sir to express his
Sir,
views for this webinar. Honorable Dr. H.S. Patil Sir, ex-chairman BOS of Botany, Satyabhai Phule Pune University.
हॅलो नमस्कार
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
सगळ्यांना गुड मॉर्निंग. गेली 5 दिवस आपण खूप छान पद्धतीनं
विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी आणि प्लांटचे रिलेटेड जे इंटरेस्टेड स्टेक होल्डर्स आहेत त्या सगळ्यांसाठी आपल्या महाविद्यालयानं आपल्या विभागानं डीबीटी स्टार कॉलेज अंतर्गत एक खूप चांगली वेबिनार सिरीज आयोजित केली. विभाग प्रमुख म्हणून आपलं स्वतःचं, त्याचबरोबर कलापुरे मॅडम, पाटणकर मॅडम, महाविद्यालयाच्या प्राचार्य डॉक्टर सुषमा भोसले मॅडम आणि संपूर्ण सायन्स फॅकल्टीचं मी मनपूर्वक अभिनंदन करतो. वेगवेगळे विषय एकाच व्यासपीठावर आपल्या विषयाशी संबंधितच पण वेगवेगळ्या माध्यमातून विद्यार्थ्यांपर्यंत आणि प्लांट स्टडीज करणारे जे रिसर्चर्स आहेत, अकॅडमिशियन्स आहेत, त्या सगळ्यांसाठी आपण चांगल्या पद्धतीने उपलब्ध करून दिल्याबद्दल आपल्या सर्वांचं मनपूर्वक अभिनंदन करतो. या वेबिनार सिरीज मध्ये फक्त एक दिवस मला सहभागी होता आलं नव्हतं, ज्या दिवशी मी वॅक्सिनेशन करून घेतलेलं होतं त्या दिवशी, पण बाकीचे 5 दिवस मी संपूर्ण लेक्चर्स पूर्णपणे ऐकलेले आहेत. खूप चांगल्या पद्धतीचं आपलं ऑर्गनायझेशन आहे. अशाच पद्धतीची अजून एखादी सिरीज आपण कदाचित आता परीक्षांचा कालावधी असेल विद्यार्थ्यांचा, त्याच्यानंतरच्या काळामध्ये वेगवेगळ्या माध्यमातून आणि माझ्याकडून जो काही सपोर्ट लागेल तो मी आपल्याला देण्याचा प्रयत्न करेन. सर्वांचे मनपूर्वक धन्यवाद. थँक्यू.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your best wishes, sir. Now I request Dr. Ahmad sir, please express his views.
Good morning, respected principal ma'am, respected coordinator of the program and head department of botany. It was a great time. Already I have chatted in the, I have posted in the chat box that it was a great job to listen so many people. First of all, on the day one, we have witnessed plant animal interaction by Professor Milind Sardesai sir. Followed by that, we had Professor M. Daniel sir. Followed by that, we have Varsha ma'am, and then we have Sonamni sir, and today we have Gaurav sir. So all these people, though today's concept was not very much with plant sciences, but still I was asking question to the medicine sir that you have not covered any medicine like plant sciences. We have our title. So recent trends in plant sciences, but Gaurav sir has just 4 speakers were purely 100% plant sciences people, and they have covered plant sciences very well. I was very much admired by our Sonamne sir. He spoke very well about fungi. Long live Sonamne sir for your such a wonderful presentation. Anyhow, our celebrity sir Milind Sardesai sir, really Milind Sardesai sir was fabulous, fantastic in his area. How he correlated the complete concept, how the pollination picture and everything he covered. Really, we have already seen his talk. We have physically offline attended, online attended. Still, he maintained his same decorum, and still the whole picture, whatever the first day, as his talk was on first day, this concept or whatever title was there, the title was really justified. So I would like to congratulate the entire team. Really, it was a fantastic job. All the people, hopefully all 3 people are ladies, like principal ma'am is lady, all the 3 people, the entire cast and crew. That is why this program is so fantastically appreciate, because really always the work done by ladies will be with very best perfection. They will more they exercise and they concentrate more on, I can't I'm unable to express properly, but still hats off for all the coordinating team for this program. So giving me this opportunity, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks for entire cast and crew of this program, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm words of appreciation, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Samadhan Kodi sir to please express his views regarding these webinars. Samadhan Kodi sir, do we have Samadhan Kodi sir online?
Yes, sir, he is
Yeah.
here. Siddharam Kohli. Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. First of all, I would like to thank your coordinator, Dr. Sheetal,
for inviting me to attend this webinar. And actually, according to me, it's a kind of a booster for everybody. After long duration, such webinar is organized, and so much of information, like which was gathered with this expertise, was distributed amongst all the professors, principals, and specifically for the students. Okay, and actually it was a need. It was needed for the students to develop the interest in among the students regarding the plant sciences. And now what I feel is research in the plant sciences is very essential, because to plants are the only sources which will provide the food, for the growing population. Okay, and of course, all the expertise, they have done their level best, and again, I'm very much thankful to the college and the coordinator team uh, for organizing such an informative session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody from students who spontaneously wanted to express their feelings about this webinar, about their views? Anybody from our students who wanted to spontaneously express about the views regarding these webinars? Yes. Kunal Tayekar. Kunal Tayekar.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Could you please express your views?
First of all, I am thankful to Principal Ma'am and all botany department staff who organized such great lectures, which guided us for our future. So our path got clear, and I am thankful to head of the department, because he organized all this, and Patankar ma'am, Kallapure ma'am, Nikhil Gurav sir, for arranging such lectures, and all sessions were good, and were very much informative, and thank you for all.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you.
Yes, anybody from participants would like to talk? Okay, so thanks to all for your valuable feedback. Now I request our beloved respected principal, Dr. Sushma Bhosle ma'am, to express her views with us. Dr. Sushma Bhosle ma'am, Principal, Waghire College, Saswad.
Good morning, all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning, all. On behalf of Pune District Education Association's Waghire College of Arts, Commerce and Science, I welcome today's guest, Honorable Gaurav Sanghvi sir, as well as all the respected dignitaries from various colleges, all my dear students, and last but not least, all my dear faculty members from 4 faculty departments from science stream. We all know that from last 5 days, we all are getting the feast of botany knowledge, because Department of Botany organized national webinar series on recent trends in plant sciences, and this webinar series was conducted under the DBT Star College scheme. As we know that we all are facing this pandemic situation, I'm just recalling few memories of this scheme overall. Last year on the day of 27th Feb, I presented this DBT Star College proposal, and in month of March, all country is locked down, and we are just expecting the positive responses from Star DBT scheme, and we get the response in month of September. Why I am telling and sharing these things? Because
Today, we covered all the conditions and given all the knowledge with the help of my all hard worker faculty members to the community. So I want to congratulate DBT coordinator Patankar madam, head of the botany department Jagtap sir, Kalapure madam, microbiology head Dr. Sonone madam, zoology head Dr. Mane sir, and chemistry head right now MM Jagtap sir, but vice principal Dr. Durge sir, and all the faculty members of this core department. I heartily congratulate all because of our hard work and teamwork. We successfully completed this scheme with 100% success. And today this webinar series is the result of this. Actually, we all know that plants are integral part of our human life. And you all got the academic feast of botany knowledge in these 5 days. Nowadays, knowledge is the key for development. And also, it's a treasure of a wise man. But I want to pinpoint you and remember you all that knowledge without action is meaningless. So it's necessary that having knowledge is a good thing, but it should be in practice. And I think this all message is given by all academic activities done under this Star DBT scheme. Especially I am thankful to Patil sir, Koi sir, and Ahmad sir, because as a lady principal and all my colleagues, 50% staff is my all lady teachers, and of course 60% enrolled students are girl students. And as a lady principal, I am happy with that. But as a teacher of a psychology as well as student of gender issues, I always feel that we shouldn't discriminate in gender, but we all are human beings. And with due respects, I am very much thank you, Ahmad sir, that you pinpointed all these things, because in this situation, women already have treated to balance work and life, and all my colleagues including me are doing such things in that way. And all my young these lady teachers, I appreciate them a lot, because I thought that all pathways made by our senior colleagues, lady colleagues, and we are walking on that pathways and working as a human being, not as a lady or female, in just insisting our gender. Because all my lady teachers, including myself, not asking any facility because we are a woman. So I appreciate that your view, and I am just congratulate my all lady teachers also. And of course, as in Marathi we can say की कुठल्याही यशस्वी पुरुषाच्या मागे स्त्री असते, तसं मी म्हणेन की हे कॉलेज रन करताना, महिला प्राचार्य म्हणून काम करताना सगळे पुरुष सहकारी सुद्धा पाठीमागे आहेत. म्हणून हे टीम वर्कने आम्ही सगळ्या महिला काम करू शकतोय. सो थँक्यू सो मच. कुणालनी खूप छान प्रश्न कालही विचारले होते. मी बऱ्याच सेशन्स, तिन्ही सेशन्सला जॉईन झाले होते, पण बोलू नाही शकले बिकॉज आय एम जस्ट बिझी विथ ऑल ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह वर्क. कारण केबिन मध्ये बसलं की लोक येत राहतात आणि बोलत असलं की त्यांना वाटतं की आय कॅन व्हाय आय हॅव टू वेट आउटसाइड, मला लगेच अटेंड केलं पाहिजे. सो इट्स व्हेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अटेंड ऑनलाईन सेशन्स sitting in the cabin, but it's not easy, or it's not okay that I should take a leave and sit at home and do work from home. It's not possible at the administrative post. So I'm very much happy that our students are also very enthusiastic and very much hard worker, and I congratulate all the science students because they participated very enthusiastically, and Kunal represents them. Thank you, Kunal, and best wishes to you. I congratulate all the faculty members of botany department, Dr. Patankar madam, Dr. Jagtap sir, Dr. Kalapure madam, Gurav sir, and of course all the faculty members who are participated in this webinar series. Again, I am thankful to all resource persons who shared their valuable knowledge with us and spare some time with us. So on behalf of all our respected members, and from myself and from my faculty, I thankful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable guidance, your appreciation, and your constant support for arranging this webinar series. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to hand over this session for vote of thanks to Dr. Swapnil Jagtap, sir. I request him to give vote of thanks. Dr. Swapnil, sir.
Thank you, respected madam, all the dignitaries. Now, on an occasion of this online national webinar series on recent trends in plant sciences, which is organized by Department of Botany under Deputy Star College scheme, today I take this opportunity to put all my gratitude into the words. On behalf of our institution and college, I would like to thank Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, for granting us to take these activities under the DBT Star College scheme. I also express my heartfelt gratitude to Pune District Education Association and all office bearers who encourage us to motivate to undertake such an activities. The journey for the DBT Star College scheme and its implementation would not be possible without the encouragement and involvement of our Honorable Principal, Dr. Sushma Bhosle Madam. Her guidance and the motivation to all of our science faculty departments always inspires us to take the student-centric skill-based activities. I express my gratitude for her encouragement and the guidance during the organization of this national webinar. I express my hearty gratitude to all the speakers for the national webinars. Honorable Professor Dr. Milind Sardesai, sir, Department of Botany, Satribai Philippine University. Honorable Professor Dr. M. Daniel, Professor of Botany and Dean, Faculty of Science, MS University, Baroda, Vadodara. Honorable Dr. Gaurav Sanghi, sir, Marwadi University, Rajkot. Dr. Varsha Shriram, Madam, Associate Professor, Professor Ramakrishna More College, Akudi. Dr. H.B. Sonone, sir, Assistant Professor, Professor Ramakrishna More College, Akodi, for sharing their knowledge with all of us. I would also like to thank Vice Principal Professor Sunil Dorge, sir, for guiding us throughout the implementation of the different activities under the DBT Star College scheme. I also express my gratitude to the coordinator of the national webinar and the Department of Biotechnology Star College scheme, Dr. V.V. Patankar, Madam, for her continuous efforts and hard work and commitment for the implementation of the scheme for academic and the research excellence of the faculties and the students. I want to extend my generous thanks to all the faculties from other colleges, Dr. H.S. Patil, sir, ex-chairman BOS of Botany, Satribai Philippine University, Professor Bagul, sir, Dr. C.P. Hase, Madam, Head, Department of Botany, Baburauji Golab College, Sanghi, Dr. Rani Bhagat, Madam, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Baburauji Golab College, Dr. Nivedita Ghaya, Madam, Associate Professor, Garbari College, Dr. Abhijit Limaye, sir, Assistant Professor, Wadia College, Pune, Dr. Ahmad Abdul Halim Khan, sir, Dr. Siddhanath Puri, sir, and many other participants who encouraged this occasion with their participation and grace this occasion. I extend my vote of thanks for their support and gracing this occasion with their participation and interaction. At the end, I would also like to thank all the heads of the science faculty departments, my colleagues from the science faculties, and my departmental colleagues, Dr. V.V. Patankar, Madam, Dr. Sheetal Kalapure, Madam, Mr. Nikhil Gurov, sir, Mr. B.S. Patil, sir, Mr. Santosh Pawar, Mr. Dhaipude, Mr. Chandu Bhosle, and all my students for their enthusiastic participation and involvement and interaction and their support and the participation for the success of this webinar. Without their participation and the involvement, this webinar would not be possible. So one and all, I would also thank all those who are indirectly involved in all these organization of the webinars also. So with the permission of our Honorable Principal, Dr. Sushma Bhosle, Madam, I express that the validity function of this webinar series is over, but the webinar series it will be continue for the next academic year also, with the kind permission of our Honorable Principal, Madam, and the DBT Star College team. Thank you very much, Madam, for your support and guidance. Thank you.
So one announcement is there. We have sent a feedback link in the chat box. So please, you can fill so that you can get your participation certificate for this webinar series. Thank you so much.